Hello, my name is Heidi Dumke, and I'm a student in the Visions of Utopia honors course, taught by Professor Garrett. Today, I'm going to discuss Plato's Republic and its impact on utopianism. The objective of today's presentation is to explore how Plato's visions of justice and government molded some of the key aspects of our society today, and how it continues to influence the modern ideas of society, politics, and how we imagine our perfect worlds. Before diving into Plato's Republic, let's ground ourselves with some of the key vocabulary that we've explored throughout this course. Utopia can be defined as an imagined perfect society, which in Greek translates to literally no place. Utopian imagination can be defined as the act of imagining a society that differs from the author's reality, often in response to dissatisfaction. Utopianism can be defined as imagination projection that is either positive or negative. And finally, authoritarianism can be defined as a system where the power is concentrated in the hands of few, raising concerns of corruption and oppression. Now, let's dive into Plato's Republic. Written around 380 BCE, this dialogue isn't just a philosophical text, but is a blueprint for the first westernized utopia. Plato's vision of a perfect ideal society was revolved around a hierarchy. He believed that the society should be divided into three classes of citizens, each with a specific role to play in maintaining justice and harmony. First, we have the producers. These are the farmers and laborers who provide the essential goods and services to keep the society functioning. Next, we have the guardians. This included the military, and they were responsible for protecting the other citizens. And finally, we have the philosopher kings. This was the highest form of the hierarchy, and these were the rulers. They were designed to keep justice in check, and this job was only given to the highest minds of society, which Plato believed to be the philosophers. They would govern, and they would ensure that the city operates on balance and justice. Of course, there is no version of a utopia without any flaws. Plato's Republic has faced criticism from philosophers during his time and people during our time, and these critics forced us to ask tough questions about power, truth, and justice. First, people saw that there was a problem with the philosopher kings. You see, it sounded a lot like authoritarianism to most people. What if the philosopher kings were corrupt? Plato assumed that they would just always act out of the best interest since they were philosophers and they were the highest minds of society. But what would stop them from abusing their absolute power? Secondly, Plato believed in the noble lie. Plato would propose a myth, and he would implant this in society since the beginning of the creation of his utopia. He would tell people that there would be either gold, silver, or bronze in their blood, and this would determine their class in society from birth. Now, obviously, this is a lie, and some say a form of manipulation, but he believed it was for the greater good. And it poses questions. Is it justified to deceive people for the greater good? Regardless of the criticism, Plato's Republic is still considered one of the greatest renditions of utopias of all time, as we are still studying it today. Plato's Republic was considered the first westernized utopia, written because Plato was dissatisfied with the world he was living in. It started a conversation that would question people for centuries later, including later thinkers like Thomas More, who wrote his novel Utopia in 1516, mostly inspired by the works of Plato. The conversation around the first westernized utopia was, however, a difficult one. Utopia translates to literally no place. It's a paradox of a concept, and that is what we explored this course all summer. Plato's Republic would theoretically be impossible to achieve, but is still worthy of taking notice, as you can tell about the author and the world that they are living in, and the ideal world that they would rather want to be in instead. We also learned in this course that utopias are mirrors. They reflect the fears and the desires of the societies as the author is living in, and how they would change them. Plato's Republic, for instance, reveals his dissatisfaction with the Athenian democracy. We also learned that utopias are maps. Even though a utopia is impossible to achieve, the act of imagining gives guidance to identify the problems in our own world and how we can take the direction to steer away from them instead. From Plato's Republic, we can learn that justice requires balance. Harmony of a society is necessary for a government to provide justice for all of its citizens. We can also learn that utopianism is a sign of dissatisfaction in one society, and that it can drive us to identify the corruptions and problems in what we read in them. It is vital to study philosophy, especially in the manner that this course does. Learning about the past can lead us to a brighter and better future for all. Plato's Republic is more than just an ancient text. It is a lens in which we can examine our own world. It challenges us to think critically about justice and government. I believe it is vital to learn about these subjects because it holds the key about how past societies function and how our current society will function. Thank you, Professor Garrett, as I loved being your student this semester, and thank you for watching and listening.